And we are back. This is Capital Markets, reaching you from the stable of Channels Television, your award-winning station, the financial capital of the nation. And of course, Mr. Obdola Ajamale is the chief executive of the National Association of Securities Dealers and, of course, a familiar face in capital markets. After his first session with the dealers yesterday, I had a chat with him on some of the highlights of the meeting. Watch.
We saw an excited start to the year, a bit of a tentative one called the elections, and we saw an upsurge in activity in the second quarter. And essentially, that upsurge was because we had probably the most successful elections ever. So by the third quarter, however, we started seeing a downturn in activity, and that was mainly as a result of oil prices changing downwards because of the increased and anticipated difficulty in foreign exchange reserves and how our dollar started moving, how our exchange rate started moving. So as that started happening, people, of course, were a bit distracted from, and then, of course, you had the competing interest rates from the federal government being such that it attracted investors into that side of the market. By the fourth quarter, after the dip we saw in the third quarter, we saw a bit of return in the fourth quarter, but of course that was nowhere near what we saw in the second quarter, and that's because, again, by that time people had settled into a totally different exchange rate. People had reevaluated their investments, and some of them have decided, quite frankly, they can't bring their investments into the country, or they're quite eager to get their investable funds out of the country into another environment. So we saw a bit of that happen over the whole of last year. We saw a bit of destabilization happen in the market. We saw a bit of risk, anticipated risk in the market as well, perceived risk in the market as well.
We know that bonds are also now available on the NASD OTC, and you have 15 to 20 brokers now trading on it. What was performance on that security like last year?
Trading on bonds, essentially, we did on behalf of the PFAs. They were the ones who were mainly trading bonds, and for all the bonds that were traded, they were mainly traded through our brokers on the platform. Trading was very easy in those securities. We were rendering returns to the market, allowing the market to see what had been traded. Again, they're public securities that were not domiciled in any market, so they easily could have traded on this platform, which is what we saw. Total amount that was traded, very little in terms of when you talk of bond sizes, about 9.8 billion. But essentially what it did was it opened up that market. It opened up that new side of the market, which you had never traded before.
So dematerialization also played a key role in your activities at the NASD OTC last year. Let's look at how much of securities have now been dematerialized.
We have a dematerialization level of 16.9%. That obviously has a very varied, we have 32 securities trading on the platform, and the range of levels of dematerialization are between 52% and 0%, quite frankly. So some have not started dematerialization, and some have got up to 52%. I think this year we'll start seeing companies having 100% levels of dematerialization, and that would increase the average as well.
Do you have a timeline for that?
Well, before the end of the year, we should be seeing a couple of companies with 100% dematerialization levels.
One of the key roles that we know the NASD OTC for in the capital market is the private equity that it makes available to investors. What was that like in 2016, and what are you looking at achieving in 2017?
Private equity we've seen, well, like all OTC markets, transactions on the market are quite bulky. We will see significant movements of funds in and out of investments, not frequently, but once in a while we'll see some very big transactions. So for the private equity, we know that a lot of them are still on the entry mode. Private equity would stay in an investment essentially for about 5 to 8 years before it starts looking for an exit. So what NASD has done is it has created an avenue for such companies to get into. We're beginning to create an avenue for private equity to see what is available for them to invest in, and for them to start taking decisions and start comparing potential valuations of possible investments. That's the first stage. The second stage is then creating a market for them to exit through. So we think that as time goes on, when they do want to start exiting, they will find a market to exit through, and that might be NASD OTC.
You have also commenced talks with some SMEs, Smedan and NASD. Talk more to us about that.
Yes, we have, with Smedan, with NASD as well. And essentially for those incubator companies, they have a whole slew and a whole range of companies that they can bring into the market, that they can sell, that are looking for funds, that are poised to grow, that are looking for funds and can grow. And so we're talking to them to allow them to come into the market onto one platform where they can all be showcased, and where investors, especially the venture capital investors, angel financiers as well, can go into and search through the repository of possible investments and find an investment that suits their requirements.
Well, that's Mr. Bola Ajamale, CEO of the NASD OTC, giving highlights of, talking about the highlights of what we had in 2016 and the outlook for 2017. Next week, let's look at the week ahead. Jumia Hospitality sector report is to be released. And of course, Medview Airline will be listing on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with Quadros Capital briefing set to hold on Tuesday. We do hope that we'll bring you all of those details on Channels Television, your business segments actually. And of course, that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Temple Ashaju, and I'll see you next time.